Hi, everyone. Welcome to Merch Money. Today we have Greg with us. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me on.
Greg, I had heard about first on the Merch Minds podcast when was that? A couple months ago?
I think so.
Something like that. I don't even know if they had realized that you were going to start talking about private label. I think it was kind of a surprise. But I was listening and I was just as Yang was reacting to what you were saying, I was reacting the same way. I'm like, wait, who is this guy? I'm like, I got to get him on the show. So thank you, Yang and Glenn. Because I didn't know about you before that. So he was talking about turning his best-selling merch shirts into private label. I'm like, this is really interesting. I got to ask more questions about this. So thank you for agreeing to be on the show. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I'll be happy to just dive into how this came about and how it's going.
Yeah, tell us a little background about how you got into e-commerce to begin with, and because I know you do FBA and a lot of other things. So tell us a little background.
So I've been selling on Amazon since I think 2012, which is really embarrassing that I'm not like a bajillionaire. I always kind of treated it just as this fun little side hustle. It was always just something on the side. We were always, we did a lot of retail arbitrage. We did like bulk book selling for a while, which I know people do great at that, but I cannot tell you how many thousands of pounds of books I carried up and down my basement stairs. At one point, our entire garage, not kidding, the entire 2-car garage was stacked floor to ceiling, wall to wall, with boxes of books.
Oh.
And
Christina knows about that.
Yeah.
So I got out of that business once I saw what volume actually meant, and so I just continued kind of selling stuff on Amazon on the side. Started private labeling actually in 2016. Not very good at it at that point. I didn't take any courses or anything. I was just listening to free material out there and just kind of limped my way through it. And basically, we learned the process of how to do it, but not really how to do it well. So in 2017, I heard about merch and thought it sounded like a really interesting thing to check out. So we got in my wife and I got our account I think in April 2017. I'll have to double check that. That sounds about right. So we had some good initial success with a couple decent designs. And then I was very fortunate to get a bunch of designs up for the Eclipse. And 2 or 3 of mine were like #1 search ranked for like major search terms for Eclipse shirts. So we did some really awesome, just out of the gate volume on merch. And very quickly after the Eclipse, slowly came to realize I'm not actually that good at merch. We had some good ideas. I worked with some great designers, and I still have a handful of things up now that sell consistently. They sell well. But in terms of just that constant idea generation and putting up good designs all the time, it wasn't really my skill set. So coming out of 2017 into 2018, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but at the end of 2018, merch changed their ASIN structure.
Yeah, I remember.
And they absolutely ruined my account in doing that. So I had this one design in particular. I was easily selling like 100 a month without any advertising. That one design, it was like, $500 a month in royalties. I mean, it was nice. I was doing about 1,000 a month on average, I'd say, in royalties. So when that one design died, I was just really kind of upset, and just the idea of having to re-rank the new listing it just sounded miserable. Also had trouble getting going in the new merch advertising platform. We can go into that if you want. But basically, there used to be this workaround hack for how to get into what's it called?
Yeah. AMS.
AMS,
Yeah.
or it was legal. And in doing so, I kind of screwed my ability to use legit AMS now. So let that be a lesson.
I always wondered about that if I did the same thing, because I had the workaround way, and then a lot of people's went away at some point. Mine never went away, so I still have that workaround way one.
Oh, nice.
That's the only AMS I use, and I wondered, like, when everybody else reapplied, I'm like, am I supposed to, I don't know. Hopefully it works as well as everybody else's. I don't know. It seems like it works.
If you still have a working account in AMS, I would not touch it at all.
Yeah, I'm just using it. I'm like, I guess it's what everybody else has. I don't know.
Yeah, so I was dealt this 1-2 punch at the end of 2018 in merch.
Yeah.
My top seller was killed, and I couldn't use AMS anymore, and so I had to just coast off of my raw talent, which just didn't get me very far. So, anyways, what I thought of doing, I was just, again, really upset that that this top selling design disappeared, and I knew that there was still demand for it. I just didn't have any way to get it in front of people. So then I thought, well, what if I just printed a bunch of shirts, like screen printed them, and shipped them into Amazon as an FBA product, like a private label product? And so what I tried first actually was I ordered my own merch shirt, and then I tried to list my own merch shirt under my merch listing as like, I was like a hijacker seller, you know, doing like merchant fulfilled. And my thought was, if that worked, I could screen print shirts and like undercut Amazon pricing wise and steal the buy box from them and use that to, I could price anything I wanted, right? So merch, you're limited in how low you can go.
Yeah.
But if I could undercut them, you know, I could sell a shirt for $8 and get it ranked and then let them take over. Turns out you can't do that. So yeah, my listing was immediately deactivated as soon as it showed up in the warehouse, and like stranded inventory. And so I just quickly cut that off. I didn't want to get in too much trouble. So you can't sell on merch listings, just so you know.
Yeah, good tip, guys. Can't sell on merch. For anyone who's not FBA sellers, there's more than one seller per product. So if there's just like a, I don't know, box of Cheerios or something, there might be 100 sellers selling that box of Cheerios. So he thought you could do that with merch shirts, like just do a listing under that shirt, but you can't.
Oh, okay.
You can't do that.
Yeah, so the plan was to steal the buy box from Amazon.
Yeah.
Or myself, really.
Buy box means that's what the seller that you see. So if you just click buy box, it'll go to that seller. If you don't click buy box, there's like a see all, but nobody ever really clicks on the see all. If you say see all, you'll see all the different sellers and can pick a seller to buy from. But like no one ever really does that except maybe for used books. So buy box is important because that means that you can just click buy.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, trying to translate for all the non-FBA people.
No, that's
if I go too far into stuff that just doesn't make any sense. Back me up if I do that.
Yeah, that's fine.
So what I ended up doing is I picked my top selling color and my 3 top selling sizes in this design, and I screen printed maybe 50 or 60 of each size in that color. So it was maybe, I don't recall the exact numbers. It was between 150 and 180 shirts. And I created a new listing on Amazon for these shirts. I copied all my old bullet points over. I added some more verbiage in there. So on an FBA listing, you have a lot more fields for keywords.
Yes.
You have more than 2 bullet points. You actually have 5 bullet points. And there's a hidden place in the back end of the listing where you can add more search terms that do not show up in front of the customer. So you can like sneak in some other things there that may raise eyebrows on the front end, but still be helpful for search on the back end, like misspellings and stuff like that. So you can really optimize the listing for maximum search visibility a lot more so than you can on merch. So I created this. I launched it right before Black Friday last year, I think. And I sold them at a very low price to start with. I was maybe between $10 and $12 a unit. So I was probably losing a couple bucks per shirt on top of the inventory cost to get going. But I just wanted to see if I could get this thing moving and ranked quickly. And so I used all of my advertising tools in my FBA account. There are a few interesting things in there that you can do that are not available through AMS, or not available through AMS for merch sellers, at least. But long story short, by the mid-December, I had completely sold out of everything that I had shipped in, and I'd been slowly raising the price. So come to today, I am selling the shirt for, I don't know, $19.99 or something like that on average. I still only have the 3 sizes and the 1 color, and I have completely blown away the $500 a month royalties that I used to be getting in merch. So I'm making quite a bit more than that, and I'm having trouble keeping the product in stock all the time. The screen printer, the local screen printer that I've used, has been they fluctuated in their reliability in delivering what I need when I needed it. So I think my sales could have actually been much higher this year if I was in stock all the time. But I think that one design is probably, I don't know if I have numbers out in front of me, but I mean, it's been like, you know, a low 5-figure profit on that.
That's awesome.
So.
Wow. So let's break this down for everybody to make sure that everybody understands. So the benefit, because it's like, well, why wouldn't you just sell it on merch? So one of the reasons why you wouldn't just sell it on merch is because you can buy the shirts cheaper, right? So where are you buying the shirts?
So there are a couple, I mean, there are screen printers all over. So, you know, if you want to do somebody local, no matter where you live, there is a screen printer somewhere nearby. You can go to, I mean, there are big contract screen printers around the country. I've used 2 so far, 1 local, 1 is out of state. I'm looking at another one. But what I can tell you is that if you're doing roughly the volume I'm doing, if you're getting a couple hundred a month, you can expect to pay between probably $5 and $7 per shirt, depending on how many colors, if you're doing front and back, the quality of the t-shirt blank you use. I really like the men's Bella canvas shirt that's like the merch premium for men, the one that actually fits.
Yeah.
So I'm using that as my standard, and it costs a little more than some of the cheaper blanks, but I think the quality pays off in this case.
So why have you not ordered from like China or Aliexpress or something like that?
Honestly, I just haven't thought of it. I know I could get I could get everything made in China cheaper. One of the reasons that I do like the Bella Canvas brand is that a lot of their stuff is manufactured in the US. And so I'm highlighting that in my listing. It's like, you know, I think for the niche that's in, it's an important selling point.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But certainly, I mean, there are other shirts where that wouldn't matter as much, and you could definitely go, you know, more of a bulk buy from overseas and just get them shipped over for cheaper. So I'm looking into a couple things right now. I'd like to get my unit cost under $5.
Yeah, because I think you could get really good deals on Alibaba or somewhere over there.
Yeah. So the other option is I have a friend in the US who's doing, he prints his own shirts. He has a t-shirt business off Amazon. And he does really well. And he has like his own printing machine in his garage. And he also uses a contract printer for overflow. But he's doing, he makes like thousands of shirts a month in his garage, like by himself. And, you know, I was talking to him, he's like, you can find this stuff used for, you know, a couple $1,000. So if you're really serious about being like a t-shirt printer, then, you know, take some of your merch winnings and put it into
merch winnings.
Some of those,
I like that.
Yeah, like I was trying to, you know, it was weird with merch because there was so little overhead. Like I didn't know where to reinvest the money and like to grow the business. I'm so used to needing inventory and just dumping all the money into more inventory.
You're like, I gotta buy shirts. I gotta do something.
So Yeah, the royalties in my mind were always like more like winnings than profits.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Oh, okay. So one thing is you can get the shirts cheaper. The other benefit of selling on Amazon directly instead of merch is that you can put more keywords in your listings.
Yes.
So talk a little more about that. That is a really, like, do you do your own mock-ups, and how do you really make your shirt stand out compared to merch shirts?
Yeah, go ahead, Christina.
Before you go there, I want to ask a little bit more about the printer real quick.
Okay.
What's kind of the common minimum run with like a local printer like that? Like, can they run 20, or does it have to be like 50, 100, or?
So lower runs just mean a higher unit cost. So if you do a run of 20, then it might be like $12 a shirt.
Okay.
If you do a run of 1,000, it's probably under 5. I'd like to get under 5 without having to do quite that many at a time. But they scale the price per unit based on your volume, so that, if you go in there wanting a dozen of something, they'll do it, but it's going to be more expensive per shirt.
Right. And then how did you determine, so you said you get 3 sizes and 1 color. Did you just use your Merch by Amazon metrics to determine?
I just took the top selling color for that design, and I looked at the sizes and just kind of did like basically it's like a medium large, extra large in this case.
Perfect.
Some designs like skew smaller or larger, like depending on who's buying them, men or women, or so the shirt I'm selling, it, like I said, it's a men's Bella Canvas blank I'm using.
Okay.
But I think my customer base tends to skew a little more female, and so like a lot more of the mediums sell in this particular design than like one of my more gender neutral designs, or one that's targeted a little bit more masculine, like the larger sizes sell more. So, but again, using merch data to kind of get close to where you need to be is really helpful, because if I didn't have the data from merch to do this, I'd be very reluctant to go and just pick one color, right? What if it's the wrong color?
Right.
So I'd be tempted to go 3, 4, 5 colors, and then you probably need a minimum of 3 sizes per color. And even if you're doing low runs in each one, that's a lot of shirts already.
Yeah.
You've got to throw a lot of money down and hope that works. And again, this is only for one design. So
right.
I think the beauty of what makes this just such a great opportunity, for those who feel like this fits in with what they're doing, is that you can test everything for free almost on merch. What designs are going to sell, what colors, what sizes, and how to get traffic because you already have keywords up. So putting it on FBA is just optimizing and doubling down on all that stuff. So it kind of, sliding back around to mock-ups and listings. So I use Placeit to do a bunch of mock-ups. I have like just a plain shirt mock-up on a white background.
Okay.
Listing picture. But then I can throw in like 5 or 6 lifestyle pictures of the Placeit models, like wearing the shirt around town. And it adds a lot more, life to the listing than just kind of the sterile plain merch listings where it's like one picture and then a bunch of sizes that don't really, not accurate.
Yeah.
That was my question. So you do lifestyle mock-ups?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So do you have like a plain, like a white background for the first image and then lifestyle ones after that? Okay.
Yes.
And do you do your own photography, or how do you get those mock-ups?
I just buy them all from Placeit. So I think it's
okay.
Placeit.net. I'm sure most people have heard of it.
Yep.
They have like a monthly subscription plan that's really cheap, and that's just what I'm doing. And I just, for each listing, I'll just pull down a ton of mock-ups that match that niche and just use those.
So even for the first image, you can do it from Placeit?
Yes.
With a white back, because don't you have to do a white background or not? For the
it's a pure white background. So some of their mock-ups are just like a shirt, and you can set it to be like a pure white background.
Okay.
So I'm using them for everything.
Great.
Okay.
So do you leave your merch listing up and you have both? So you have the FBA listing and the merch listing?
I leave my merch listings up. I raise the prices on them. And then I'm able to run advertising from my FBA listings directly onto the merch listings. So if somebody goes on the merch listing, right, because it's already ranked, what they see, like right under the picture for the listing, is this other option of a shirt that looks exactly the same that's $8 cheaper.
That is so interesting.
So I'm using my merch listings to drive traffic to my FBA listings to help them get started up, basically.
Wow.
Wow, that is really good to know. Okay, so you start off with the ad, and then for the listing, how do you? I guess you take the bullet points from your merch listing, and then how do you decide all the other keywords and how to really optimize that listing?
I have a piece of software called Viral Launch. It's one of the private label like software packages. One of the things that it lets you do is you can do a reverse ASIN search on any Amazon listing. And what that shows you is what keywords are actually driving traffic to the listing right now. So I can reverse ASIN search my merch listings. And in addition to any keywords, all the keywords in my listing that I've written in, sometimes there are other customer search terms that are also driving traffic. So I can make sure that those are in my FBA listing. And then in addition, it has a tool where you can type in a particular keyword and it will do a big broad search and give you back a bunch of related keywords. So for instance, if you're looking for a trash can, sometimes people search wastebasket or trash bin or something like that. So, if my shirt is a trash can shirt, it's not. This will tell me that I should also mention waste bin and all these other relevant words that are maybe like one off from what I'm already using, but it's still going to drive the same customers to the listing. So I use that software to kind of optimize my listing and try to capture all the high volume keywords that I can, and then stuff them in wherever I can.
That's awesome. I see Teresa's question. She said, or comment, I guess. To be an FBA seller, you have to pay $40 a month to Amazon just to have an FBA account. Plus, they get a cut of your sale and inventory storage costs. Just want to let everybody know the costs involved.
Yeah, it's even worse than that. You have to pay. I mean, you would. My current advertising budget would probably make most people vomit in their mouth. Like it's crazy. It costs a lot of money to get a new listing ranking in any kind of competitive category. And there's a couple ways to do that. You can pay for ads. You can get people to like buy your shirts, and then it's actually against Amazon's terms of service to do this, but I do know it happens. Like you get people to buy your product, and then you like reimburse them for it, kind of outside of Amazon. But that's something that goes on. So like the wonderful thing about merch is that there's such a low barrier to entry. You can put up thousands of designs with virtually no cost, especially if you have design skills, or it's very minimal to test things. So the downside to that is that there's a low barrier of entry for everybody. So competition, as we know, very quickly ramped up from 2017 to 2018 to today. I mean, it's just a completely different field than it was 2 years ago, and mediocre designers like myself just have trouble competing in that environment. But for anybody willing to take a look at FBA, the higher startup cost and the higher operation cost is actually an advantage, because fewer people are going to take advantage of these tools because they do cost money. So you're definitely in for $40 a month to have the seller account. And I can tell you hands down, that is the smallest expense that I have every single month in my FBA business.
Yeah. Okay. And that $40 a month, technically you could not pay it and be like a regular seller, right, but your listing fee would be more expensive. So as long as you sell more than 40 products a month, it's cheaper to do the $40 a month. It
is. And if you don't have the pro seller account, you're much more limited in your advertising options as well.
Okay. Yeah. So, but you still feel like it's worth it. So even after all of the added costs and even after all the added work, it's still higher profit per item sold, and you have more ability to get it out in front of people because you have more spots for keywords.
I would say it can be higher profit per item sold.
Okay.
So my cost of goods is not optimized. Like I told you, I'm paying right now between $550 and like $675 per shirt.
Uh-huh.
I guarantee I could, if I spend a little time looking, I could get that down.
Right.
So if I'm selling a shirt at $20 and my cost of goods is $7, my Amazon fees are right around $6 or $7 per item in FBA. So that means I'm netting $6 or $7 basically.
Okay.
Before the cost of advertising. So depending on how heavily I have to push a particular design, that may be, sometimes the advertising can really eat that up. But after something is ranked well organically, then you can kind of pull back on the ads a little bit. So I would say on average, I'm making $4 to $5 a shirt at $20. So that's actually right around the ballpark for merch.
Mm-hmm.
But with merch, you don't have to put in the inventory up front. So again, it's lower risk, but I can get things selling very, very quickly using FBA that would take me forever to do on merch. Like,
wow.
I think that's the advantage, is that I can use all the tools on the platform to do what I want to do. But again, they all cost money.
And you also can probably do other products that merch hasn't offered if you wanted to.
Right. So
like mugs or whatever, something else.
Oh yeah, you can do anything. And the people who do like the couples shirts, right?
Uh-huh.
You used to have to put all this verbiage in your description. Hey, look, go find my other one and click on the brand name and blah, blah, blah. And just hoping that they'd find it. You can just create a listing that has both shirts.
Yes. That's
right?
what's really nice.
So, or like there's a couple designs out there where it's like a family series. There's like a mom shirt and a dad shirt and a baby onesie, and you can just bundle it all together and sell it as one product if you want to.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when you do that, I had never actually done that. I had sold bundles on FBA, but not like clothing bundles. So if you sell a clothing bundle, can they pick different sizes within that bundle or not?
I've never actually done that.
Yeah.
I believe that the way you'd have to set it up is that it would be very difficult to customize sizes within the bundle.
Yeah, I think so too.
Probably. So thinking out loud, the way I'd probably do that is have each product be its own listing. But when you added one to the cart, I'm sure people have noticed this. If you scroll down just a little bit below like the main image on a listing, it'll say frequently bought together.
Yeah.
There are ways to strongly influence what shows there if you control the listing. So if you had the dad shirt, you could engineer it so that frequently bought together showed the mom shirt and the baby shirt. That'd be very, very easy to do.
Okay.
And even if they did have to like click on your brand to see the other shirt, you could still have a like picture in there probably showing like this is what the shirt is supposed to look like together. Right. So it kind of helps to be able to add mock-ups.
You could even add the picture showing all three as one of your listing photos.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
So just directing people to find all the other pieces to it.
Yes. I think that's the big benefit because we can't do that with merch. Like we can't add that picture of all three together.
Right.
That's what I use Pinterest for. So this week I posted about, my Pinterest numbers and everything. Well, that's one of the reasons I kind of got back into Pinterest a little bit is because I had shirts that went together, and Pinterest helps a lot with that because you can just show a picture of, it was like brides and bachelorette shirts and things like that. You could show them together, and then I used Merch Wizard to create a store link. So it had both the shirts right there in one link. So it made it so much easier for people to figure out what in the world this was supposed to look like.
Nice.
So, all right. Well, this is so good. Is there, I haven't looked at the chat. Do you see questions, Christina?
Yeah, we've got a few questions. So, so someone did ask about getting stuck with inventory, and it sounds like you really haven't had that happen yet very much, or
not for shirts. I mean,
okay,
if you do a lot of inventory-based business, there's going to be times where you get stuck with inventory. There are ways to kind of minimize the risk on that, like make sure you buy at a good price, make sure like there are ways to gauge that demand exists for the product. Like I mentioned, the viral launch keyword tool, I can look and see what everybody's sales volume is for a particular product. I know roughly how many they're selling every month consistently. And so I don't, I can limit the damage basically by not getting something that nobody's ever heard of, which is kind of dangerous to do on Amazon, at least.
Right.
But again, I already have data on merch showing that this design sells 100 a month. And so I already know that. All I have to do is get all those eyeballs from the merch listing onto my FBA listing, and I should be able to sell 100 a month.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And that's kind of how you base where your starting inventory was. How many was I selling on average? Okay. And then what was the other question? Oh, some people asked, and I think you answered this, but I want to go back and make sure. It sounded like at the very beginning you tried merchant fulfilled. Is that right? Or has it always been?
I try to do FBA because I just don't. I don't like shipping stuff. It's a pain. I'm very familiar with shipping stuff, and I prefer not to do it every day.
Okay.
So it's all FBA. But again, I mentioned having stocking problems, and so there have been several times where I'm going out of stock at Amazon, and I'm picking up shirts from my printer, and I just have to fulfill them for a week out of my basement because they won't get checked into the warehouse in time. So all of these listings I've done merchant fulfilled when I have to, but it's not the way I like to do it. You get a better conversion rate for FBA.
That's good to know. I didn't even think about that. So you can change a listing from FBA to merchant fulfilled if you need
what
to?
You can do, and this is totally within Amazon's terms of service, you can come on as a secondary seller on your own listing.
Oh,
so,
I got it. Okay.
It'll say, if you click in to see the other sellers, it's the same store name, but one of them is FBA and one of them is merchant fulfilled. And if you want to like push one or the other, you just change the pricing so that one of them is in the buy box instead of the other. But I try to run FBA, and merchant fulfilled is like emergency backup.
That is so good to have that emergency backup, though. I never thought of doing that, of adding yourself under your own listing to do merchant, because it's so important. Because if you run out of stock, it really hurts your ranking. So it's really nice to have that backup. So you could always, that helps so much with inventory problems. Because like they're saying, like, do you ever get stuck with a ton of inventory? It's really nice that you can just keep some inventory at your house. So you're not paying that inventory storage fee and everything. You can ship exactly what you need and quickly switch it to being merchant fulfilled if you run out. I think that's huge. That's really helpful to know that. That's a really good tip.
And if anybody wants to do that and you're smarter than me, you can get a third-party logistics company to do it for you. So there are companies all over the country where they have a warehouse and a computer, and you can send them inventory and they will merchant fulfill for you, or they'll ship and pack to Amazon for you, and it doesn't have to be in your basement. Yeah. They charge just a pretty minimal fee for this. So we're moving towards that eventually. My business partner and significant other is kind of fed up with doing as much as we do out of the house. Like it also makes it difficult to scale and to like go on vacation, stuff like that. So it might make sense if you're willing to try this out, just set it up at the beginning to have all the inventory go somewhere else and not have it in your living room or anything like that.
My husband was pretty patient with me with all the FBA inventory everywhere. But eventually I was not patient enough with myself, and I was like, I gotta get this stuff out of here. And that's kind of where I knew I was at a crossroads where I'm like, okay, I have to either do private label or I have to do merch, because it's like there's no way I'm doing all this inventory in my house thing anymore.
Let's just say I used up a lot of relationship capital with the books in the garage. Yeah. Still trying to recover. So
exactly. Yep. Yeah.
Another question for you. Have you ever done the Amazon seller integration with like a pod partner? So like a Printful or something like that?
Yes, I did it with Printful, and for my experience was that it was like a total disaster.
Okay. So tell us about that.
The integration didn't work well. When I went into the listing to try to optimize all the keywords and stuff, it broke the integration with Printful. Ooh. And so Printful has the fields that they want auto-populated, and you can't go in and mess with them or it breaks the link, or it did back when I tried this a couple years ago.
Okay.
The shipping times are terrible. So you're not competitive with anybody, right? So the advantage to FBA is that there are people all over the country who can order my design tonight and have it show up tomorrow. So it's faster than merch. They don't have to print it. It's ready to go.
Wow.
And with Printful, it was like 2 weeks out or something.
Okay.
And then the third one is pricing. So the advantage with what I'm doing is if I want to get a shirt selling, or if I want to liquidate it, I can sell it for $8. And with Printful, you can't. I felt like I couldn't sell a shirt for less than $25 without feeling like I was gonna, go in the red. So I think the idea is great, but right now the implementation didn't work for how I'm used to using the platform.
Right.
Yeah, I think the FBA idea is huge, to have it go to 2-day shipping or even 1-day shipping, because now FBA is going faster and faster. Like there's some places they might get it that day or the next day. It's that's a game changer.
I'll just throw this out there. That last week before Christmas, when merch dies, I'm still going to be selling shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really big.
Yeah. And now are you only doing this with one design right now, or have you expanded, or?
So for the last 12 months, I've done one design, and I decided this is working pretty well. I should go a little bit deeper in here.
Okay.
So I went back and picked my next 5 top selling merch designs.
Okay.
And I picked 2 colors for each one, 3 sizes for each color, and 100 of each.
Wow.
So that multiplies out to 3,000 shirts.
Okay.
So I ordered 3,000 shirts about a month ago, and my printer is slowly shipping them all to me. I think I overwhelmed them.
At like $6.75 a shirt.
It's cheaper than that. So I'm actually getting it done at a printer out of state, and even with shipping, it's cheaper than who I was using locally.
Wow.
So it's under $6 a shirt. But still,
that's still like $18,000.
Yeah, yes,
that's a lot.
Yeah. So I'm starting to sweat a little bit, because I don't think they're all going to be for sale for the end of Q4. So I'm, lesson learned there. Maybe spread that around to a couple different printers if you're going to go crazy volume.
Yeah.
Or find someone who can do crazy volume before you place the order. I don't know. So anyways, I have 2 of them listed and in warehouses right now. I should have a 3rd arrive this week and get it up. But I think the 4th and the 5th, it's going to be really tight. I'll probably have to merchant fulfill them. And I don't know if I can get them selling in time. I mean, they'll get going next year. I'm not worried about it in terms of getting stuck with inventory, but I'm not going to get to capitalize on that inventory investment for 2 of those designs probably until next year. So
okay,
that's really cool that you have so much faith in this model that you're willing to do that. So I think that's a testament to this whole idea.
It does. It speaks volumes. I mean,
if it doesn't work, I'll be sure to let you know.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding me.
I'll be back in 3 months and we'll see how it goes.
Yes, we have to do that. I said that at the beginning before we went live. I'm like, would you mind like coming back to let us know how Q4 goes? Because I'd be so curious to see if like you planned it out right, or if you needed more or less or whatever. So neat. One other question I had, so you were talking about viral launch. Have you ever used Helium 10?
I use Helium 10 as well. So I like viral launches. Most of their tools I think are a little bit better. That's just my bias. I have met the guy who started viral launch, and he's also super cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's also part of my bias. I just kind of prefer them. But I also pay for a Helium 10 subscription because some of their tools are just, even though they're maybe not quite as powerful, they're actually easier to use. And so just for ease of use, like the keyword tracker tool in Helium 10 is what I check to check my keyword ranks for major products every day. The viral launch tool kind of does the same thing, but I feel like it's too many clicks to see what I want to see on each one. And on Helium 10, it just throws everything out on one screen all at once. It's
nice.
So yeah, I mean, if anybody has Helium 10, it'll probably do all of this for you. You don't have to go out and get Viral Launch as well. I just have like that fear of missing out between these two companies. They're like major competitors, and I actually switched between the two a couple times, and I'm just like, screw it, I'm just going to do both, and I'll just make sure my profits cover it.
I'm so happy to have you on the show because it's an unbiased opinion about the two. So one thing about Helium 10 that I was also going to ask you, if they have recently included a private label course. So how you were talking about, you took a course on private label, they have a course in there that anyone can take. So I was wondering if you knew anything about the course or if you have seen it. Is it good? Is it not good?
I haven't taken it. I know it's Kevin King's course. And for those of you that don't know, Kevin King is a very, very successful private label seller. He, I mean, well into 8 figures in sales, like tens of millions of dollars a year. So he's pretty good at it. He also hosts a conference once a year. I think I forget what it's called, but you have to be like at a certain selling level before you can even get in. Like it's like $1 million sellers and up that go to this conference. So, I mean, he's definitely kind of a big deal, and I'm sure he knows what he's doing, that he's giving good material, but I have not actually looked at the course myself.
Okay. So guys, those are two to look into, Viral Launch and Helium 10. We did a Helium 10 video, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So you guys can see that on the channel. If you haven't taken a private label course, I haven't taken it yet either. I really want to take the course because I'm very interested in private label because I think it goes very well with merch. I mean, I never thought about it quite like how you're doing, where you're actually taking your merch designs and putting it at FBA. But I'm thinking just in general, as you build a brand, there's so many products you could ship in from Alibaba or wherever very inexpensively, and it can go along with your product or your product line. Like you can find compatible products. So I really am interested in private label. But I'm excited. They literally just included that course a week or two ago. Before that, it wasn't part of the cost of Helium 10. So I think that is a good benefit.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I'll do I've actually been testing Viral Launch as well. So I met Casey. Is he the one? Yeah. So we met Casey at Midwest Ecom, and I ended up signing up for Viral Launch just to test it out. And I'm with you. I like certain aspects of it. So, but yeah, there's certain aspects of Helium 10 that I like too.
I like so it's the totally random things. I like the scribble pad on Helium 10 because it shows what words you've already used for your listing.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
All right. Well, 45 minutes already. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a couple more questions for you. So, do you still do merch much at this point?
I have an active merch account. My royalties last month were $400. So, and that's all stuff that I probably listed 2 years ago.
Okay.
So that's nice. On occasion, I'll get a good idea and I'll make a few shirts and throw them up there, but I'm not actively pushing it right now.
Okay.
I'm just enjoying some residuals, I guess, on work I did 2 years ago. And my teenage daughter is like an amazing artist. She's teaching herself graphic design, and we got her like the iPad Pro with Procreate, and like she is killing it with it. I mean, so I'm kind of keeping the account open and active, intending to kind of hand it over to her to actually do like real work on it, because she has the ability to really just kind of just take it by storm when she gets to that point where she wants to do that. So, I'm not like super active in merch, but I understand that account is an asset, and I'm hanging on to it to kind of hand to her later, but also enjoying the couple $100s a month that still comes in.
Yeah. And it's also there to test stuff. So if you want to test more ideas in the future, it's an inexpensive way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, did you ever get into KDP at all or CreateSpace?
I did not do either one. I know about them. I've spoken with some of the people who are putting out great content and, who do some of the groups for KDP. And I do believe that it is a really good opportunity for people whose skill set that is to create. Again, I kind of learned in 2018 that the skill set that really indicated success in merch didn't really align with mine.
Okay.
So, I think if, so I had hired designers for a while and that was working fairly well, but I was still, I think what killed me is there was a TOS update at some point that made it sound like merch really didn't want you giving your account to VAs to upload stuff for you. And that kind of just freaked me out. And so I kind of shut down the whole like outsourcing thing I was doing. And I just don't have time to upload stuff. So if they ever open that up and say it's cool to let a VA upload, or if they do sub accounts, then I will definitely get back into this and like hire a designer, send them ideas, and have somebody else upload it, because that I can do. But
yeah.
The workflow that it ended up being for me was just like not a good use of my time. It's not where I add value in the world right now.
Yeah.
Well, it's great that you recognize that and, have made adjustments. So, wow.
I hope they do add that. That would be really nice.
Yes.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
It would. Now, I do have another question. So you clearly have a lot of FBA experience, and that sounds like it's something that you've been doing for a while. What would your advice be to some of our viewers that maybe have never done FBA and are interested in trying this with some of their merch designs? Where should they start?
I think I would recommend finding a couple of Facebook groups that are dedicated to talking about Amazon FBA. But I would also recommend finding a course and some people that you trust who really know what they're doing, because this is one of those things, kind of like with merch, bad advice can get your account shut down.
Okay.
And it's just not worth it, right? So if Helium 10 offers a free course with their membership, that may be a very good place to start. The course that I took is called Amazing Freedom. It's offered by Andy Slamins and Leron Hirschkorn. Those guys are Amazon wizards, and I would recommend them to anybody. There are also some courses out there that are going to be, even more expensive, some that are less expensive. But I think it's important that you find a mentor who people trust to give good information, and just learn what they're doing first before you kind of try to go too far off the rails. And again, you can learn all of this yourself, but nowadays there are some pitfalls where if you do something that you see some people talking about and you don't realize it's against terms of service, you can just get shut down before you get started. So I would just recommend looking around. There are great resources out there. They don't all cost money, but make sure that whoever you're listening to is legitimate and that they know what they're talking about. So.
Perfect. Great advice.
And go ahead, Helen, if you've got.
No, go ahead.
So one follow-up question to that just kind of dawned on me. What happens if you get returns? So how are those handled?
Right now, all my returns go back to the Amazon warehouses.
Okay.
So if somebody orders a shirt and it's the wrong size, then it gets returned and the customer gets refunded. And gosh, I don't actually know what happens to my money.
Okay.
I think if it's still sellable, then the thing just goes back in inventory and I can sell it again.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, sometimes the customer, like I can look at my returned inventory report, and a couple of them there's a note that says customer destroyed. I don't know what that means. I don't know, like ripped it off their body and sent it back. But sometimes they're not sellable. And in that case, Amazon, so when a return happens, Amazon takes the entire sale cost back out of my money. And depending on the reason for the return and the condition of the item, sometimes they'll give me back the money. But it's basically like if I have to give back the money, I'm getting back the shirt, and so I can just sell it again.
Okay.
But if it's some weird thing where it's like not my fault, or sometimes the USPS loses deliveries, the customer gets a refund, Amazon takes it out of my distribution, but they end up giving that back at some point in the future. They like go through and do this this process where they reimburse you for returns that aren't actually your fault. So there's actually services and software that monitor all this for you.
Yes.
I've heard stories about people finding out that Amazon owes them like $80,000 in return refunds.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't do enough volume that I'm that worried about like that quantity of money, but I usually check it once a year, and I'm probably due for checking it. So thanks for mentioning that.
Okay.
That's why this is a very good point of why the courses are good, because I didn't take a course. So there's certain things like that where I just totally missed the ball. So I was not checking my returns very well at all. Like, so there's probably tons of refunds I never got. And then also just certain tips. Like I don't think I wasn't doing private label. I was only doing FBA. So I didn't really have to make the listing myself. But if you're making the listing yourself, the course will help you figure out how to do that properly and everything.
Right.
Okay.
So,
and so I don't know exactly how this works, but I've heard of people doing this. Something about if you have inventory on Amazon, you can also push that to eBay. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't do that, but some people do. So you can push the listing to eBay and actually have an order on eBay fulfilled by Amazon.
Okay.
I think eBay started to get upset about that because Amazon ships everything in Amazon branded boxes now, plain boxes. So I think some people still do that, but it's not quite the game that it used to be like 2 years ago.
Gotcha.
And I think Amazon doesn't like to be a drop shipper either. So I think you kind of get both companies a little upset about that. But yeah, I don't know. Because I know there was Joe Lister and different things that helped you with that process.
Right.
So I don't have a definitive answer for that because I've been out of FBA for a year and a half. But yeah. What other questions do you guys have? Thank you guys all for watching and being here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I'm a little behind with the chat. I was just getting too engrossed in conversation. But Tim, Massey, Teresa, Patty, Brad, all you guys. Thank you so much. Laura. Perfect.
We've got another question from Patty. If you want to scroll all the way down in the chat.
The Santa one?
Yep.
Santa wants to know, can you elaborate on the advantage of the iPad Pro with software for graphic design? Santa says, my old iPad works fine. Is there a good reason for the new one?
When I do merch designs, I actually don't use, I'm still using like the Over app.
That's what I do.
I have Adobe Illustrator to like fix stuff or to do more complicated things, but I'm pretty terrible at Illustrator.
Okay.
So if I'm making something myself, it's text-based, definitely. I don't go much past that. But my daughter is amazing. So we bought an iPad Pro just for her to play with and teach herself graphic design. And I bought a new one because it was new. So yeah. I'm sure the old ones work, but I definitely have like zero knowledge or experience about like what program is best or what any of that. All I know is I gave her an iPad Pro and with Procreate on it, and she's already making like stuff that just
yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yep.
I can't answer that question either. What about you, Christina?
So I have an iPad Pro with Procreate, and it's awesome. It depends, Patty. It depends on how old your current iPad is. some iPads work with the Apple Pencil, some don't. But if yours doesn't work with the Apple Pencil, then yes, you would. If you want to practice graphic design, you would definitely want a newer one. And it's easier for me to work on the Pro version just because it's a larger workspace. So, so the regular iPad is a certain size, but the iPad Pro is like, I mean, the screen is almost as big as my laptop screen. So, and there's so many different like brushes and techniques and all sorts of things that you can do with Procreate. It's a really, really awesome tool. So if you like the feel of a like drawing with a pencil, that's definitely the way to go. So
cool. Thank you. I knew we'd have somebody who can answer.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right, guys, we got 5 more minutes. Any last questions? Thank you so much, Greg, for being here. This is like amazing. It's just making my brain think of all these different ideas.
No problem.
I know. I'm really, really thinking about trying this. So
I think
Greg, are you accepting any mentees, Greg?
So I was actually thinking about if this works out, if it goes well, I would be happy to share what I'm doing with other people. And I thought, maybe we could set up a group that was just kind of dedicated to this whole thing, and I could explain what the process was step by step. So honestly, the thought crossed my mind, but if I do that right now, I'm going to do a really bad job at it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
There's just too much Q4 going on right now.
Yeah.
So if that started, I think I would end up like neglecting it and ignoring people and giving very like short answers to things that required long answers. And so in the interest of not just sending anybody down the wrong path right now, again, like in formats like this, I'm happy to talk about and share what I'm doing. And if it works well for me, then I will think about a way to share this with more people in a more structured format. But if any of your viewers or listeners are interested in that in the future, they can let you know, and you can let me know, and maybe we can, like I said, meet back up in 3 months and kind of evaluate my results and see what happens.
I'm so excited for that. Guys, yes, in the comments, definitely write if you would like to have him back on the show for a follow-up to after Q4 to see how this goes.
I think
also,
good. Yeah.
And also if you would like more information about this. Hopefully you guys all do, because I do. And then I was just going to say one more thing. We were talking about bundles, and we were talking about like if you have like a couple shirt or something like that. But because of sizing, and it might be a little bit complicated to set up, you could make a bundle with something else. Like you could make a bundle with anything, like one of those like drawstring bags, or maybe like a coffee mug or anything. So that might differentiate your listing a little bit too.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
So, cool.
And we did have one other question. Patty asked if that design that you ended up putting on FBA, did you also put that out on other print-on-demand platforms, or did you never really get to that point where, is it out on Redbubble and Cafe?
If it's on Redbubble, it's not by me.
Okay.
I know that there are other pods out there, and the way I treated that is kind of like I treat eBay with my Amazon stuff. I know I could get 5 to 10% more sales on eBay, but then I have to deal with eBay people.
Yeah.
And an eBay person, I'm sorry, but my experiences as a customer on eBay, I prefer to be an Amazon customer, and I've learned I also prefer to be an Amazon seller. And so just like on some of the other, pod platforms, it's like I'm not like a pod guy, right? And so that it just wasn't what I want. I didn't want to be everywhere on everything. I just wanted the most high volume platform where I'm going to get like 80% of all the sales of everything. So that's kind of the way that I've treated that. I know that I'm leaving money on the table everywhere else, but I just don't have the time or energy to manage all of that.
Yeah.
So if anybody finds out what my design is and wants to put it on Redbubble, just let me know and give me like $1 royalty on each one.
That's
There you go. I am so much the same way. Like I have so much trouble getting my designs on all the other platforms because there's just no, like, I can't get the desire to do it. I was using OrbitKit to do that, but even with OrbitKit, I kind of trailed off and stopped doing it because it's just one more step that it didn't feel worth it enough to me. Like I just keep going back to either KDP or merch because it's like it's just so much bigger bang for your buck.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. Like,
yeah,
you know, there's 1,000,001 ways to make money, but what's the way that you're really good at that makes the most money? And that's what you should do with your time. That is your money-making time. And this is a lesson that I have had to learn the hard way that I'm still learning. I'm one of those people that like to try everything. And I've really just in the last year and a half tried to like cut a ton of stuff out of the periphery so I can concentrate on the things that are working really, really well for me so that they can work even better. And it's actually worked great. So I have gotten completely like all in on Amazon FBA, and this private labeling the merch products is just one small piece of what I'm doing. But in the last 12 months, I've quadrupled my sales numbers. So it's just, this is, I think, where I need to be spending my time and effort. And so I'm just finding new ways to use the tools that I'm good at using and like just pulling in experience from different places and integrating it into this sales platform because this is what I can make work right now. So that's not the way that it's going to be for everybody. Some people are going to just blow me away on KDP or on merch, and that's totally fine. Like we don't all have to do the same thing. But I remember, you know, a couple of years ago, you know, when I was really on merch and trying to like tell everybody I knew about it and how everybody should be doing merch. And it was so great. Like, why would you not do merch? And then, you know, like, turns out I probably shouldn't have been doing merch. You know, like not every single opportunity is the best opportunity for everybody. And it's taken me a while to realize that, both for other people and for myself. So I'm dedicated to just having a little bit narrower focus moving forward. And, you know, we'll see how it goes.
It's so funny because most people are like that, where it's like they want to try everything and then they have to really force themselves to become focused. And it's like, for me, it's like the opposite, where it's like, I just want to be focused. Like, I don't even want to do any of these other things, but I have to like force myself just to see, like, test out the opportunity. Am I going to like it better? And also like just having this platform, like people are going to ask me questions about all these other platforms. So I need to know something about them to be able to answer or at least point them in the right direction.
Right.
So this year I really like forced myself to try a lot of different things. But by the end of it, I'm like, man, I just want to go back to merch. Like I do not at all like spreading my time out between different platforms. Like that is not, I like to be a focused person. So I think this year has been a real struggle for me to test out all these different things. But I think it was worth it. But I really think in 2020, I'm just going to let myself be focused again. I like being focused. I think it just is the easiest for me. So any last words from Greg, Christina, anybody?
I think that's it. I'm happy to answer any questions as I have time. So tag me in the group if there's anything urgent, or if you can't get a hold of me, you know, just mention it in the group and we'll swing back around. Like I said, I'm going to spend some time sharing what I'm doing when things are not quite so crazy. So it will happen. But yeah, in the meantime, just, I guess, wish me luck. And if anybody is thinking about doing this, please do not order anything from any screen printers in Texas until after Q4.
Well, thank you so much, Greg. We really appreciate you being on. And we look forward to having you back in January or February, whenever, to hear all about your success.
Sounds great.
All right. Thanks. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
See you next week.
Good night.